supposed to look. There are shifts, there are day parts where if you want to get into the minutia, if you want to talk about cycling and what they do on special teams and all the other things that go into it, all the details that go into being an NHL team, there are shifts for that. There are hours of that. That's not what a morning show does. That's what a morning show isn't supposed to. I'm supposed to call someone or bring the coach on who will explain those moves. I bring the general manager on. I can bring on one of the players. This is what hosting a morning show does. I'm hard pressed to think that going to work for a job that you hate, for a boss who sucks, for you getting yelled at every day and maybe not getting the money that's worth it to you. Maybe you have a hard day where you're outside every day. Hey, there's a lot of people in Western Canada that listen to that show that weren't just from Calgary. They were also from Saskatchewan. And then, these guys would be out working the fields and so on. They wanted to get some laughs in with a little bit of the sports. So what you want to do is be an entertaining guy, and hopefully you have the chops to actually do that. And then on the other side, you call someone who can explain all those things better than I can, better than any probably morning guy can, because there's a reason why they're a morning guy, because they were probably, for the most part, in broadcast and maybe not a great athlete. Look, my background is weird. It's different. I played at a very high level of sports, but I also started doing stand-up when I was in grade 12. Freak and weird. I was a goalie and a drummer. All the weird stuff that goes into this brain where I hear the voices. I'm sitting there looking at a football game. All of a sudden, I hear Peyton Manning going, what he should have done. What he should have done was you got to pull that back. You got to make them read into when you're going to play action pass. You don't just run with it, dummy. That's not RPO. This is what goes on in his head. This is what I have going on. Bob Cole,
I get it.
All kinds of stuff is going on there.
I don't even think it's weird.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
We were on the road with the Rough Riders. Joe Womack was our strength coach, and he was rooming with Ron Estee. I'm coming down the elevator with Joe Womack, and he is so mad. And I'm like, what's wrong, Joe? And he goes, you wouldn't believe what Estee did. He's in his underwear, and he emptied the minibar. Smarties and the Kit Kats, thinking it's free, thinking it was a gift basket. And Joe looks at me, it ain't fun.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, that is a fact, Jack. Welcome to the RP Show. And it's a very special day. I'm looking for my breaking news bell. You'd think I'd be ready to go. How about this? I could use the gong. Very special day today. I don't normally work, but I am. It's Elvis's birthday, January the 8th. We're here in beautiful South Florida. Moose joins us from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We're coming at you live on Game Plus Television. We're on the radio, WQEE. We got breaking news out of Atlanta, where we're on the air, WQEE, right? Rhino Radio down there on Key Radio. We're going to get to that. I'm serious, Darren. I'm over my news. Do you see it anywhere on the set? Do you see it? Have I misplaced it? I know I'll find it. It was around here this morning. Coming up on the program today, here your favorite daytime sports talk show. We got RJ Broadhead joining us, the voice of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who has rejoined the full-time mainstream radio Monday to Friday business as well in the Toronto area. He'll be joining us. RJ Broadhead, longtime friend of ours. And Jeff Reinebold, longtime friend of ours as well from Sky Sports, NFL analyst, to talk a little football. Let me tell you. How was your weekend? Before we get into the hardcore sports talk, and this is what sets us apart from the other shows, is we're as entertaining as can be. How was your weekend?
It was great. Got a little bit of my favorite things in. Watched some hockey, watched some football, went to the movies, to the Landmark Cinemas.
Wow.
The weekend was as good as you can ask for, so it was awesome. And with the Natty tonight, it's a little bit of an extension of the weekend, so everything's good.
Yes, right. Football every day. Football every day. That's what we want. Hey, from WQEE, Rhino Radio checks in, says, Atlanta's NHL show. Man, are we going to be primed and ready to go when the NHL comes to Atlanta with a 33rd team? Ho, 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 are we going to be ready to go? And I see our good friend Jack Fulton checking in from Vulcan, Alberta. the home of Spock. Yeah, so there's a lot going on. I'll tell you my weekend. It was very quiet. I told you I was as sick. I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the air or not. I think I told you off the air. As sick as I've ever been. Sickest as an adult. The only time I've been close to as sick as I was when we were in New Orleans over Christmas when I was a child. I'm telling you, my hips hurt, my joints hurt, my lungs burnt, my throat, my head was pounding. I couldn't get out of it. I slept for 2 days straight. And it really screwed up my lungs. So I told you that I ran 4 miles on Saturday trying to keep up with my guy Chris from the Bronx. I told you we were going for lunch on Friday. He told me that he's now running 5 miles. I'm like, Chris, you're really hard to keep up with. I can't be beaten by him or anybody. So I started running 4 miles to try, and I couldn't. I fried my lungs. I was not ready for that, coming back from whatever this virus was. And then the funny part was Sunday, I did go to our friend Ben, was playing in a band. And I told you this morning. He plays the drums, and he was at the Atlantic Avenue Yacht Club. He says, meet us there, 3 o'clock. My band's playing. Sure, I'll do that. Serena, she was doing something, so I went on my own. I get up there, I'm like, not only do I not see any yachts, I don't see any water. I'm looking for yachts. It's the Yacht Club, for the love of God. Like I get in Winnipeg, the Tijuana Yacht Club, that's Winnipeg. You weren't fooling me there. There's no water around. Here, different story. So I double parked the car, and I find it says in Atlantic Avenue Yacht Club. I went to some hole-in-the-wall dive bar. I'm like, where's the yachts? Where's the water? And they're like, oh, no, that's just our name. So stuck around for a little while, but that's false advertising. Yeah. And then came home and watched sports for the rest of Sunday evening. That was my weekend. Literally nothing to write home about. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan, and we'll go from there. BW is checking in from Edmonton and says, great shirt, RP. He says it's minus 28 in high-level Alberta. This shirt came from Whole Life, the Florida clothing brand that they just love our show. Mark Gundry runs Whole Life. He's a big fan of ours. He goes, I'll just keep outfitting you in our gear if that's okay. I'm like, hey, let's do it. Giddy up. Let's go. And Joe Lazito, of course, he showed up to gloat. The Bills fan, he says, breaking through Rod and Moose time like Deontay Hardy broke through the Miami punt coverage last night. Have a great day.
That?
Go Bills. Hashtag Bills Mafia. Joe Lazito just showed up to brag. Okay, well, actually glad you brought up the NFL because that's point one. What's everybody talking about today? The NFL. We'd be stupid not to. It's Black Monday. Arthur Smith, who inherited a rebuilding project in his first NFL head coaching job, but failed to lift Atlanta out of its playoff drought, was fired late Sunday night, hours after completing his 3rd straight losing season with the Falcons. He was 7-10 every year. This morning, Washington Commanders fired coach Ron Rivera, according to a person with a knowledge of the decision. It's the first major change made by ownership after another lost season for the once storied franchise. It came a day after the Commanders' season-ending 38-10 home loss to division rival Dallas. So Arthur Smith out, Ron Rivera out. And Bill Belichick met with the media this morning. He said he's open to letting someone else handle personnel duties if he remains with the Patriots. New England's head coach also confirmed this morning during his season-ending news conference that he remains under contract with the Patriots, though he didn't specify the length of its current terms. New England's 17-3 loss to the Jets on Sunday cemented a 4-3 record for the Patriots, Belichick's worst record in his 29-year NFL head coaching career. It's left his status for next season up in the air as he prepares to meet with team owner Robert Kraft about his future. That meeting's supposed to come as early as this week, maybe even today. So that's what's gone on in the NFL firings. It's funny because in our morning meeting, our guy Joe, our boss Joe, wanted to talk about what happened at the end of the Falcons-Saints game. And I'm like, my mind's not on that. It's on the coaching situation here. I think, didn't we last week do the coaching hot seat index? And these 3, well, 2 for sure that were Arthur Smith and Ron Rivera were on the list. Top 3. Belichick was in there too. I got more thoughts, but I want yours. You're co-host in the show. Does Belichick survive this week? What do you think?
The more I hear about it and the more we, see the pundits talking about it, on various networks and the insiders, I would say no, he probably doesn't. I don't know if he'll be fired, but it'll be some mutual agreement to part ways or something else. Now, I said all along that I think the logical move would be to give him another year or two, but without the GM duties. Let him just coach. Let somebody else handle personnel. You're going to have a fairly decent draft pick coming up, a pretty pivotal draft. You got to make some pretty important decisions when it comes to who's going to be your quarterback moving forward. So there's a lot of key decisions that need to be made. I would say bring somebody else in, let him just coach the team. If that doesn't work, then he's out. But I don't know. I don't think he survives.
There's a lot to talk about. And by the way, on our roadmap, just so everybody knows, and those that have checked in a little late, coming up, RJ Broadhead, the voice of the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Hour 1. In Hour 2, Jeff Reinebold to talk all things football. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers made pretty significant news with their coaching staff today. There is a lot of CFL news, and of course, Willie Nylander has signed. He's got the richest contract in Toronto Maple Leafs history. So we got a lot of hockey coming your way. But as we come out of the regular season and get ready for the playoffs, like David in Winnipeg writes in and he says, Stafford versus Goff, can't wait. Detroit's favored, but the Rams will take it. Just hang on, bro. We're in segment 1 on a Monday. I get that he's excited, but that's where we got to take control and talk about coming out of the weekend. If you read my 10 Things column at rodpeterson.com, which I also post to Facebook, go give our show page a follow at The Rod Peterson Show. In the column, I mentioned that Travis Kelce, the star Chiefs tight end, was 16 yards away of 1,000 on the season for what would have been an 8th consecutive year. And how do I know that? Well, when I was running on the treadmill on Saturday morning, Johnny O from Johnny O's Gymnasium came up and, like he always does, leaned on the treadmill, and he's like, how about this? Kelce, 16 yards away. I guess, was that Friday I told you that, right? That was Friday that happened, that conversation, from 1,000. And then he doesn't even play for the Chiefs. He didn't even play. So he finished the season 16 yards shy of 1,000. Had he hit 1,000, it would have given him 1,000 yards for 8 straight years. I had to dig into why he didn't play, and according to the Kansas City Star, I think that's their newspaper, he didn't even want to play. Which Johnny O, we've been texting back and forth, has a tough time believing that Travis Kelce wouldn't want to play. Who wouldn't want to play? And I'm like, well, you've already set the record. It's an NFL record, 7 straight seasons. Greg Olsen had the prior record at just 3 straight. And maybe he was hurt. We don't know. So that's just one tiny little morsel coming out of the NFL Week 18. Not to mention the Dolphins blowing it last night. That late punt return touchdown sealed it for the Bills, who take the title. Oh, man, as I sink into it, we got a lot to get here today. So this next weekend's NFL wildcard round ain't on my radar right now. So just hang on. You guys can all talk about it. Go ahead, but I can't. Don't get me sucked into that. Because I'm not quite done on the Belichick thing either. 71 years of age. We talked about this last week, and it rankled some people. You really find out what people's opinions are and what their allegiances are, don't you, Darren? Like, I mentioned it's time for Belichick to just walk away. You saw the comments that come into our Facebook page from our viewers, and they're not real nice people. They hurt my feelings. They're like, stick to the CFL, Rod, if you don't think Belichick's a good coach. Well, it brings up our next poll. It brings up our poll question. Because I don't know if Belichick's going to be back in New England or not, but our poll question today for Key Auto Group, and by the way, Key Auto Group is driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. Who would you pick of these 4 coaches to coach your team? Arthur Smith, fired by the Falcons last night. Ron Rivera, fired by the Commanders this morning. Bill Belichick may or may not be back with New England. Or Jim Harbaugh, who's coaching Michigan tonight in the national championship, which incidentally at Bet Regal, the Wolverines are favored by 7:30 p.m. Eastern, TSN and ESPN. My vote's Harbaugh, but we talked about this last week. He's not younger than all those guys, but he seems to be relating real well to the younger players at Michigan. He took San Francisco to the Super Bowl when he was coaching the 49ers. For me, it's Harbaugh, but out of those 4, judging by your jacket, I got a pretty good idea who you would pick. But who are you picking to coach your team out of those 4?
Yeah, I think it's Harbaugh for me in a runaway. But I think, each one of them has some advantages. I think, I really have been a fan of Ron Rivera for a while. He had to go through a lot in Washington. Let's not forget. A lot of quarterbacks came through that organization while he was there. Change of ownership and that whole mess with Dan Snyder. There's a lot. A team name change happened. There's a lot that happened in Washington that I wouldn't necessarily hang on Ron Rivera. So, I'm curious to see if he lands somewhere else or if he's just going to decide that this is it. But for me, it's Harbaugh. He's the guy I'd pick.
I don't know. Obviously, I talk with the sports people all the time, and you mentioned what's gone on in Washington, and the guy deserves a medal for surviving Dan Snyder for all these years. But as somebody said to me not that long ago, every team screwed up. Every team screwed up. And I'm like, I could go along with that. However, I don't necessarily think that is the case. With the Florida Panthers just down the street for me, I've seen zero indication in 3 seasons of covering this team now that there's anything wrong with that organization, and I ain't joking, because it does start at the top. So I don't think every team screwed up, but I will go along with you and say most are. You're not saying that for the guy that did. And when it comes to these firings, it's pretty simple. If you don't achieve the goal, you're fired. End of story. It ain't that hard to figure out. Arthur Smith of the Falcons, 3 straight losing seasons. See you later. Dennis Allen, I don't think, is out of the woods yet either. New Orleans coach. Day ain't over yet, as they say. Because I think whoever didn't win the weak, soft NFC South was going to get fired. That's what happened with Arthur Smith and could still happen with Dennis Allen. Carolina's already fired their coach. By the way, the Sober Carpenter text line is open, 902-518-3033. Sober Carpenter, ask for it by name at your local beer, wine, and spirit store. This text has come in from Fort Scott, Kansas, and I didn't even know we were on the air in Kansas. Guys, watches Steve Anthony's his name. He says, Rod, thank you for the story you did on Nathan Rourke 2 weeks ago. I'm the biggest Rourke fan you will ever find besides his parents, Larry and Robin. Nathan came to Fort Scott Community College to play football here. The school has an adopted student program where Nathan was my wife and I's adopted student. I knew from the first time I seen him spin a football that he was the real deal. I honestly believe he just needs a chance, and I believe that starts with the Patriots because he should get some playing time. Again, thank you. And he sent a photo. Clark, if you want to pull it up, I'm sorry. We can do it in the break and show it later, but he's got a signed, framed Rourke jersey from the Jaguars. And I do find it sad, not funny, sad that people are still kicking around what he should do. Come back to the CFL, stay in the NFL. And I'm not getting sucked into that argument anymore. This guy isn't trying, but there are others that are. I'm like, how about this? It's his life. Let him do what he wants. Has anybody thought of that? So anyways, we're only 2 points into the Quick Six show topics. We haven't even gotten to the NHL or the CFL yet. Clark said he pulled it up, so let's do it. This is the photo from Steve Anthony in Fort Scott, Kansas, where they watch our show. And that was a gift from Nathan Rourke to the Anthony family for hosting him in the community college there. How about that? First-class kid, and how about we just hope for the best for him? Because I think the people that think he should come back to the CFL think that's what's best for the CFL, have not stopped to think about what's best for Nathan Rourke yet. And any older person would say, take the money. If you're smart, you'll take the money. End of story. We'll be back right after this. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Sweat. The winner will get 50% of the final jackpot total, and all proceeds will be going towards Telemiracle 48, better known as Saskatchewan's charity. Visit telemiracle.com to learn how the Kinsman Foundation is helping people every day in Saskatchewan to improve their independence and quality of life. They do such great things. Okay, gather around. I am in the South Studio, Moose is in the North Studio, and between the two of us, we got it all covered. I still haven't found my breaking news bell, but I didn't try that hard in the break. But we do have breaking news, Darren. Out of Toronto, this is why daytime sports is so awesome. Since I wrote this, or since I cut and pasted this, it's already been updated, and I only did it like 30 minutes ago. TSN hockey insider Darren Dreger reports the Toronto Maple Leafs are closing in on an 8-year extension with forward William Nylander. Though a bit of work still needs to be done to complete the contract, Dreger notes the extension is believed to be worth $92 million over the 8 years, carrying an average annual value of $11.5 million. TSN hockey insider Chris Johnston notes the deal will be the largest contract in Maple Leafs history by total value. He adds is expected to include a full no-move clause and a favorable bonus structure. And since I put that in my notes a half an hour ago, I get a notification from TSN that it's done. Willie Nylander, here's $92 million, $11.5 I don't need to get into the details as to why that's the richest, because, people are going to be going, Matthews makes more. That's not even, they don't understand. I got to think, as a Leafs fan, you're happy with this?
Yeah, I mean, happy's relative, now the core 4, turn it into the core 5, whatever. It's a lot of players at a high ticket to try and manage a cap and round out a roster competitively to try and win every year. That is tough. But you got another year of John Tavares at 11 plus, and then he comes off the books, probably either at a much lower rate. So that's at least the good news. The long story short here is you have to make the deal. You can't let William Nylander walk. He's on pace for over 100 points and 50 goals this year. And he's consistently been a player who's been electric, who's been good, who scores goals. And I've heard this once from a hockey person, and I really like it. If you're going to pay in hockey, pay for goals. I think that's really important. And William Nylander scores goals, and I think that's important. So, yeah, it's higher than maybe what you hoped it would be a couple of years ago, but you have to do it. You couldn't let him walk.
Who told you that?
I can't remember. That's the problem.
I never heard it, and I think there's a reason. No. Well, probably some of the hockey people that you talk to, and then I talk to them as well, but I've never heard that before. And I thought defense won championships. But, hey, with Wee Willie, he scores big goals. He scored 2 the other night in their win at San Jose. I know he scored Roof Daddy in overtime over in Sweden in front of a hometown crowd for him. I think it's a great deal. He's a great player. I'm a Wee Willie believer. I'm not necessarily a Leafs believer, but I want to make something clear here, too. They're a good enough team, but it's not like I didn't believe in them going into the season. I had them picked to win the Atlantic Division, if you remember, and I had Florida 2. And that's not happening right now. It could happen. We still got a half a season to go. I'm a Leafs believer in their talent. I'm not necessarily a believer in their team. But I like Nylander as a player. You had to do whatever you could to keep him. And at $11.5 million per season for 8, let's put it this way, I hope he keeps it up. Now, moving on to what Sunday leftovers, although it seems old news now. Mark Scheifele scored twice. Connor Hellebuck stopped 15 shots, and the Winnipeg Jets took the outright NHL points lead, beating the Coyotes 6-2, that was last night, extending their point streak to 12 games. It's their longest in franchise history, even since Atlanta broke into the league. They've gone 29 games of allowing 3 goals or less against. It's unbelievable what the Jets are doing. And we'll come back on that in a second. Just a couple other leftovers. In Washington, John Carlson scored with 53 seconds to go to lift the Capitals past the Kings 4-3. In Chicago, Colin Blackwell had 2 goals and an assist for Chicago in their first game since Connor Bedard was sidelined by a broken jaw. That happened Friday night. And in Anaheim, Michael Rasmussen broke a tie with 1:07 to go. And Detroit beat Anaheim 3-2 for their 3rd straight win. On Friday, when I was having lunch with Chris from the Bronx at PDQ Chicken, he said, are you bragging up that you said Bedard, that you're right now, that you said that he was going to be all that and he's been all that? And I'm like, no, I'm not bragging it up, because I knew. And by the way, he's the one that did the work. But since we've been watching him since he was 14 years of age, drafted at 14, playing at 15 in Major Junior, I'm not bragging up. Anybody could see. All the glory goes to Connor Bedard. But I will get gaudy on you for a second and tell you, I think God broke his jaw. God didn't. Brendan Smith did. But I think it was, with it happening, it was God's like, you need a break. You need to slow down, kid. So while he's been named to the All-Star team and he's not going to play in the All-Star game now, Connor Bedard, at least he can say he's an All-Star, and he'll get a much-needed break. Enough of carrying that team. They're heavy. With the Jets, we talked about it last week, stop celebrating at the 1-yard line, or as Darren pointed out, the 50-yard line. It's the end of January. It's okay to be excited that your team's #1 overall, no doubt, but don't come getting up in my face, which a lot of Jets fans did on the weekend, saying, how come you're not giving us credit? How come you're talking about the Oilers? How come you're talking about, how be you back off? and just enjoy your hockey team, okay? Don't be like the Miami Dolphins, who are celebrating all year their best season in 20 years and then fold like a cheap suit at the end and become the 6th seed and have to go on the road to Kansas City. There's that. And to be honest, that's my thoughts on the Jets and the Blackhawks. But for the Flames, too, we could go across the country. Not right now today, because we got CFL the news to get to, but I want to go across all 7 Canadian teams and just do welfare checks on them. Welfare checks, see how they're doing. I went into the Flames comments, cynical bastard that I am, to see what the fans were saying about them losing to Chicago, and it was predictable. All I can say about the poor Flames and for their fans is you fired the GM, you fired the coach, and nothing's changed. That sucks. Are you ready to move on, or do you have anything on all that?
No, it's just tough. It's tough to be a Flames fan these days because you get a little bit of hope and you think everything's great again, and then that happens. You lose to a team that's, I think only dressed 11 forwards, and half of them are AHL players or were playing in the American Hockey League. I don't have a lot of hope right now for Flames fans.
No, so we got a lot of news from the Canadian Football League, and we are still the CFL's favorite show. It's where CFL fans come to talk. And to be honest, God bless the CFL. There was a lot of news coming out of the weekend. News this morning, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers announcing the club has named Jordan Younger as defensive coordinator and Mike Miller as special teams coordinator, the latter replacing Paul Boudreau, who will not be back with the team. Richie Hall's been the defensive coordinator for 8 seasons, maybe 9. He's remaining on the defensive coaching staff, but he's being replaced by Jordan Younger. This is all from the news release from Darren Cameron of the Blue Bombers. Richie Hall will remain in the organization, working with the defensive staff, and this season will mark his 9th on the coaching staff. Richie's association with the league dates back to the beginnings of his playing career with the Calgary Stampeders in 1983. Can I say this? Richie's 63. He's having some health issues. Nothing crazy, but what you could imagine for a guy that played pro football for as long as he did. He's got some back issues, and I think they would not have done this if they hadn't sat Richie Hall down and said, Richie, how you feeling? The guy can barely walk. I see him at the games. It's probably, you've been doing this for a long time. How would you feel about moving Jordan Younger into that role? And you would still, Richie would be, give the young guy a chance. Richie's a first-class guy, and the Bombers wouldn't do this. The way it was worded, the news release, they're like very careful to not offend anybody or have anybody believe that Richie Hall's being fired or really being replaced. I think this is just a passing of the torch is my point. And the reason the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been in 4 straight Grey Cups, and they are the marquee franchise in the CFL, although a lot of teams and their fans will not admit it. They are. That's why I lose a lot of respect for people. When you're presented with the evidence and you still won't admit it, that's where we can't be friends anymore. The Blue Bombers treat their people with respect. They treat them with class, and that's why they've been in 4 consecutive Grey Cups. That's my read on that situation. I do want to know your take on the news that came down officially Sunday night. The Edmonton Elks have signed 2-time Grey Cup champion quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson. He joins the Elks after spending last season with the New Orleans Breakers of the United States Football League, where he led the league in passing. The Sacramento State product spent 5 seasons prior to that with the Toronto Argonauts, and his best season was his last one in the CFL. At 35 years of age, he led the Argos to a CFL championship. Now he's going to Edmonton. That is a little bit out of the blue, and people are upset. You're a Canadian quarterback champion, and they got one there in Trey Ford. People are saying this is a slap in the face to Trey Ford. Do you go along with that or not?
Oh, boy, I do. I do go along with that because if you're Trey Ford, you're sitting there being like, what do I got to do? Like, our season was in the toilet. You gave me a chance, and I gave the team a chance, right? That's all he did. He gave them a chance. He almost got them into the playoffs. He created some electricity. He sold tickets. He became the reason that fans went to games in Edmonton. And I think everybody's excited to see if he can take a team from day one and get them into a playoffs or beyond. The other side of this, though, from the Elks' point of view, it's a smart move because the more good players you can have at that position, the better. And the last time McLeod Bethel Thompson was in the Canadian Football League, he was leading the league in passing. And he took the Argos to the Grey Cup. They won the Grey Cup, and he played most of the game before he left with an injury. So he undoubtedly is better, is an upgrade. But it just does leave questions as to where does Trey Ford fall, and is Chris Jones, looking for any excuse to get somebody else in there. But I think it doesn't hurt to have them both because you're going to need them both at some point.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of what you just said in there that Ford almost did this. Trey Ford almost did that. McLeod Bethel Thompson has done those things that you're talking about. And I that's just my own personal thing. I will defend Chris Jones, and there are people that will always trash him. You're not changing either of our minds. John in Edmonton writes, and he says, Elks fans are ticked at the Elks organization over this. They were really hoping for Trey Ford to be the start of the season. Guess what? He still can. Because if he outplays McLeod Bethel Thompson in training camp in the preseason, he will be starting. And Chris Jones, and you've seen it. He don't care what you're paying, what the salaries are. He's going to play the quarterback that gives you the best chance to win. And he's brought in a proven winner like McLeod Bethel Thompson, and that's what he said in the news release. Now, Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and says, this just shows why Chris Jones isn't a great GM. He has no real plan or direction. He has never really developed a quarterback when he's been a boss. So I'm not going to argue with that. But and I don't even know if Chris Jones even hears that criticism. Overall, yes. Does he hear what Jeff the Stamps fan saying? I don't know. Maybe. But that's the kind of fuel that gets you out of bed in the morning, or at least it does me. As I put in my column, my haters, they're watching this show every day. They're writing in and telling me that. My God, where would we be without haters? I would have quit by now if it wasn't for them. Got to prove them wrong, right? And that's what Jones is doing. So, yeah. Moose, I'll see you back here for hour 2. I feel like we have barely even touched the surface on any of these things.
Yeah, you bet. We'll see you then.
RJ Broadhead from the GTA joins us next. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
The old RP show continues. Want to remind you folks, Telemiracle 50/50's raffle is underway and live. Proceeds staying in Saskatchewan and will be part of Telemiracle 48, supporting the work of the wonderful Kinsman Foundation. Get your tickets today at telemiracle5050.com. Our next guest knows all about it. We only bring on the talented, good-looking guys, and that includes RJ Broadhead, the voice of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, whom we don't talk to enough. How you doing, RJ? What's going on, brother?
Hey, Rod, just driving, figured I'd talk to you. You can drive and do a video chat, can't you? That's legal, isn't it?
Yeah, you are. So, yeah, as far as we know, yes.
No,
hey.
I'm a passenger. I'm a passenger.
I got you. Okay.
Clark, I think producer Clark has my calendar because there's always something going on every time he asks me, and I'm tired of making excuses and saying, hey, I got a busy schedule, I can't come on. So I said, no matter what, I'm getting on with Rod on Monday, and we're making it work. It's great to chat with you. Just been busy doing a couple of jobs and waiting for the CFL season to roll around.
Approved.
I know. And I appreciate you fitting us in. And to be honest, can we start with the biggest news in your world today? And that is William Nylander, 8 years, $92 million, whatever it works out to, 8 years, 11.5 per season. They got it done. Your thoughts on this?
Well, kudos to William Nylander for not signing earlier, gambling on himself, and then coming out with a fantastic season. So he kind of put the Maple Leafs in a tough spot. If they want to keep him, he's emerging as, one of the top players in the league. So they had to pay him. So you like to see guys gamble on themselves and win. There's a lot of money in just a few guys on the Maple Leafs, and we've seen that hasn't worked for them in the past. We'll see if that changes this year with Brad Treliving as the general manager. They're on a pretty good roll right now, and they've got San Jose tomorrow. So the way things are going for the Sharks, that's probably going to be a Leafs win.
I got to ask you, 11 in a row, I think they've lost. I got to ask you this, and maybe it's unfair, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Are you hockey first or football first? Because I listen to those TiCats games, and I'm like, RJ, and I told you this at Grey Cup, I'm like, you know the game, bro. I didn't know that you knew it that well. What is your mother tongue sports-wise?
Great question, but, Saskatchewan guys, we had one professional team in the province when you and I were growing up, so everybody followed the Riders, and I loved listening to your so for me, I'm still a hockey guy, but I've always loved the CFL, and the Tiger Cats organization is top-notch. It's been a great 3 seasons. I'm looking forward to a 4th. So, yeah, the CFL is near and dear to my heart, but I'm always a hockey guy. Wouldn't mind calling games again, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I really enjoy listening to those TiCats games. You guys do a great job. You got a great crew. Fan twos aside, you got a great crew there. And so I'm joking when I say that. So with Bo Levi agreeing to what is roughly a 50% pay cut on Friday, or was announced on Friday, did that catch you off guard at all, or did you not get sucked in when he said after the playoff loss that his days were probably done there?
Yeah, I thought that probably wasn't going to be great for his future with the Tigers. But this is kind of a win-win for both sides. You know, Bo, if you asked him, he would say it's not the season he wanted to have. Injuries, he hardly played, and then when he came back, he really wasn't in a groove. It was tough to mesh with all the players on offense. So it was just a really tough year for him. It was a tough year for the Tiger Cats in that situation with so many expectations on Bo coming in and, of course, hosting the Grey Cup. So with Bo taking an incentive-laden deal now with the restructuring of the contract, it's great. If he can stay healthy and produce, he's going to get a nice paycheck. So he's going to do all right in that aspect. And the Tiger Cats are happy to pay him that if he can go out and produce and help them win football games.
My last one for you is, what does it mean to have Orlando Steinauer go upstairs all the way up to the penthouse, Ed Hervey take over as GM, and Scott Milanovich as head coach? How do you think that's going to play out?
Yeah, there were a lot of hats for Orlando the last couple of years, and pressure. 2 of the last 3 Grey Cups were hosted by the Tiger Cats, and you look at the injuries to the offensive line, the quarterbacks over the past couple of seasons. It's a lot of wear and tear on a coach, and he's had that president role, but now he can just focus on that. And Ed Hervey's come in; he definitely deserves to have a general manager's job in the CFL, and he's got Orlando right there if he needs any tips or anything. And of course, Scott Milanovich, the risk was possibly losing him out of the organization if he didn't get a prominent role, and he's had success in the CFL. We all know that, and maybe a different voice will be good for the team and the Tiger Cats. So I think it's great for this season. Personally, I love Scott Milanovich. I love Ed Hervey, but I'm a Coach O guy. He's treated me first class for 3 years and even before that. So I'm glad he's still going to be around and running things and overseeing things. I'm sure we'll still have our chats, but it's a good thing for the organization, and I'm excited to see what 2024 has for the Tiger Cats with Scott in as head coach and Ed as GM and O staying as the president.
I love it. We've covered a lot of ground here. My last one is, tell me about the new station that you're at. I saw your post. That's very exciting. I watched a game here in Sunrise with Sammy Cosentino the other day. He said it's not far from your house because it's perfect for everybody. What's the deal?
Yeah. So we bought a couple of acres back in 2020, kind of in the COVID time. You know, Saskatchewan guy. I grew up on 80 acres, so I wanted a little bit of land and wound up meeting Kevin Brown with Bayshore Broadcasting, Peter McEwen, who's one of the most fantastic guys. He's the producer for TiCats Audio Network. He introduced me to Kevin, and we got talking and thought could do a little bit of a sports segment, do some news too, which that's going back to the roots, back to the old Rosetown Kindersley days for me. So it's good to expand the horizons and be on the air every day and get lots of reps. So keep them busy with a couple of jobs, and they were good with me keeping the TiCats, and TiCats were good with me working for them. So it's a win-win. I'll have a busy summer, but that's okay.
Hey, again, Saskatchewan guy, not afraid to work. RJ, looks like right. Everything's coming up Millstone in 2024, man. Thanks for fitting us in. Thanks to your driver. I got to get me a driver, man. Thanks for this, man. Safe travels.
Okay, thanks, Rod.
RJ Broadhead, the voice of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. When we come back, a sports update and viewer takeover, and the line is full. The line is full. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family, This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to your favorite daytime sports talk show, the RP Show. As I promised, a sports update. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to get into here. And yes, Jay in Winnipeg, I get your sarcasm. I get your sarcasm, Jay in Winnipeg. He wants an all Winnipeg Jets show and wants to change the title of the show to Winnipeg Jets TV. Not happening, fella. Still never got my breaking news bell, but that's okay, because this ain't breaking news. Michigan versus Washington is just about the perfect way to end the 2023 college football season. A matchup of unbeatens that hits all the major themes and storylines of the past 5 months, from conference alignment to the transfer portal, with Jim Harbaugh as the main character. Harbaugh's top-ranked Wolverines, Michigan Wolverines, face Michael Penix Jr. and the second-ranked Washington Huskies tonight at Energy Stadium in the last national title game before the college football playoff expands from 4 teams to 12. 7:30 p.m. kickoff Eastern on ESPN. From the NFL, Arthur Smith was fired late Sunday night, hours after completing his 3rd straight losing season with the Atlanta Falcons. The Washington Commanders fired coach Ron Rivera this morning. It came a day after the Commanders' season-ending 38-10 home loss to the division rival Dallas Cowboys. And Bill Belichick is open to letting someone else handle personnel duties if he remains with the New England Patriots. The New England coach also confirmed this morning during his year-end news conference that he remains under contract, though he didn't specify the length of its current terms. The Sports Update's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas, in theaters now, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. When an ancient power is unleashed, Aquaman must forge an uneasy alliance with an unlikely ally to protect Atlantis and the world from irreversible devastation. Starring Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, Dolph Lundgren, and Nicole Kidman. In theaters now, Aquaman, Landmark Cinemas. To the text line, I got thoughts on all of these things, but I said viewer takeover. Troy writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line regarding the Natty tonight, and he says, morning RP and Dupes, Michigan wins by a bunch tonight. And he says, thanks for letting me be part of your day. Haven't been feeling good lately. One day at a time. Hashtag FCancer. Hashtag Koser Strong. Indeed. One day at a time, bro. I got it right here. I'm with you, Troy. And I'm good with Michigan winning tonight. You always want the team that beat your team to go on and win it all, do you not? That's the way I was raised. That's the girls that I go with. That's what they say. Natasha in Winnipeg writes in and says, good morning, Rod and Moose. Breaking CFL news, Mike Miller is named special teams coordinator for the Blue Bombers. Well deserved for that, GOAT. She wrote that in right off the top of the show. We would go on to discuss it near the bottom of the hour, so we have discussed this. I'm excited that Mike Miller's taken over as head of special teams. He doesn't have a lot of coaching experience, but come on, do we actually think Mike O'Shea would make a move like that if he didn't trust what this guy is doing? And then with Richie Hall being replaced by Jordan Younger as the defensive coordinator, I'll guarantee you that's got the Richie Hall stamp of approval all over it. And I like the fact that Richie's staying with the club, too. And I like the fact that the CFL is in the news. Kirk from Toronto writing in on the 902 line, and he says, hi, Rod. Were the tornadoes on the weekend near Boca Raton? As a matter of fact, no, they were 12 miles south of here in Fort Lauderdale. And fortunately, nobody I know was hurt. I don't think anybody got hurt. But no. My God, you don't expect tornadoes here. But if you saw the video, a guy got shot outside the Dolphins game. It happens. Fake Gainer writes in on the 902 line. He says, I'm selfishly hoping Richie Hall retires before he turns 100 so Rider fans can finally see him go into the Plaza of Honor. Rider fans showing up in full force today. Larry in Medicine Hat writes in and he says, like the Riders, the Minnesota Vikings learned the hard way the value of a good backup quarterback. Kevin the Medium checking in and says, good morning, RP peeps. Happy Monday. Well, it is if you're a Canucks fan, right, Kev? Last minute of play in hour one. I feel like coming back in hour two, we'll go across Canada from the Victoria Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean and do a welfare check-in on the teams. Because today they're very excited in Toronto, I think, that Willie Nylander has signed an 8-year contract extension worth $11.5 million per season. I see Sid Sixero, my good friend, former co-worker of mine at The Score, saying the Leafs have no idea what they're doing. I think he's just doing it for the hits, the clicks. Jason in Red Deer writes in and says, dang, I just found out about Burke Dales. Heck of a punter. Rest in peace. Burke Dales, the Grey Cup champion punter, passing away at the age of 46. We'll talk about Burke if you would like. Lots to get to in hour two. Stick around. We'll be right back on Game Plus and Key Radio.
They're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Then we were on the road with the Rough Riders. Joe Womack was our strength coach, and he was rooming with Ron Estee. I'm coming down the elevator with Joe Womack, and he is so mad. And I'm like, what's wrong, Joe? And he goes, you wouldn't believe what Estee did. He's in his underwear, and he emptied the mini box. Smarties and the Kit Kats, thinking it's free, thinking it was a gift basket. And Joe looks at me, it ain't fun.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a great start to the week like we are. Or at least I am. It's hour 2. We're coming in hot. Got all our favorite gang with us, the Rod Squad. That's you, the audience. We're on Game Plus Television, Key Radio down there in Atlanta, where they've been in the news today for not the best reasons, sports-wise. And Moose is with us from Toronto. They're in the news, good news-wise. And how about this, Moose? If you can, I found it. Of course, in the last place I looked, it was hiding behind my laptop, my breaking news bell. Yeah, breaking news bell. And we got so much to get to as you were with us last hour. I said, when you were departing, I said, we feel like we barely scratched the surface. And I want your take on something and remind me to come back on the Pat McAfee thing and the guy that got shot here last night outside the Dolphins game, all these things. But William Nylander has signed an extension of 8 years with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I see everybody talking about it the television show the network which carries our television show is based out of Toronto. I'm sure they're popping champagne corks there. So that's how excited I am, and I'm not even a Leaf fan. But I see William Nylander, Sid Sixero putting on Twitter just now, the Leafs have no idea what they're doing. From Sid Sixero. I know him very well. We worked together at the Score for a number of years. Are you on the Sid Sixero side that the Leafs have no idea what they're doing with this signing, or are you like everybody else is popping champagne corks? Where are you, Moose?
I'm in the middle. I don't know that popping champagne's the right term. I think you're happy that it's dealt with and done. I don't think it's ideal to have the four guys, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares, making over $40 million between four of them. I don't think that's ideal for any organization. But at the same time, this was mostly inherited by Brad Treliving, and you had to do it. And it just happened that Nylander is off to an amazing start this year. Probably cost him, $1 million, $1.5 million in terms of average annual value, that he's on pace for over 100 points and 50 goals. If he had been off to a slower pace, it might have been easier to do this deal at a lower number. But you can't control these things. So you had to make the deal. So I think the Leafs are where they are, and there's nothing else they could have done.
What do they say? Offense sells tickets, defense win championships. So Willie's scoring goals, they're winning games, and yet their crease is a revolving door. And maybe they can win that way. I'm not sure. I'm pulling for the Leafs. If they win the Stanley Cup, I'll be as happy as any non-Leaf fan. I won't be as happy as anybody, because you guys that cheer for the Leafs would all be a lot happier than me.
Bingo!
But I'd be happy for them because their fan base deserves it. And I think this is a good move today. Was Sid saying that, and Sid's been on this show? Do you think he's just saying that out of sensationalism? I don't want to accuse him of anything, but why would you say the Leafs don't know what they're doing? They've been trying to get Nylander signed for some time, right?
Yeah, I don't understand that one. I like Sid a lot too. I don't know, because for Treliving, what's he supposed to do? Say, hey, we got $8 million for you, or $9 million, and that's it. Take it or leave it. Because if he leaves, and you don't get anything for him, now you look bad. Because Nylander doesn't look like he's not a player who's having a one-off year. It's not like he has one good year and now cashes in at 11.5 and we all look like suckers, right? He's been sustainably good, consistently good for a number of years now, and this is his best year yet. So it seems like he's still moving up, which is great.
Yeah, from the audience, and this is what I love this time of the show where we bring in the audience participation. Jason, watching in Red Deer, says dealing with athletes is like investing in stocks. What does he say? You want to buy low and sell high. Yeah. Corey in Winnipeg writes in and he says, 1967. That doesn't really roll off the tongue like a taunt.
Yeah.
Here in Florida, when the Leafs come to town, which the Leafs are back here the last game of the regular season, I was looking at the schedule today of the Panthers. It's on the fridge. We want Florida. We want Florida. That goes over real well. That echoes off the walls real well in the arena in Sunrise when the Leafs are here. Kevin the Medium writes in, you know him. He says, dang, Darren is looking younger today. It's the hair. It's got to be that beautiful head of hair. No, I think it's because you shaved. Why did you shave? Because you went home to see your mom at Christmas and she doesn't like the beard?
Exactly.
Is that why you shaved?
No, I haven't had the beard.
I know you.
I resisted bringing that thing back here for a while. One day, maybe in the summer, I'll bring it back.
That thing, he says. Okay. We'll go across the country as I was planning to do. Hang on. Jake Hughes writes in from the Hughes Sports Podcast out of Airdrie. He says, good morning. Speaking of Brad Treliving, are you hearing any truth to the rumors that Murray Edwards has been meddling in hockey business and stopping trades with the Flames and Leafs? Yeah, about a month ago. We talked about that on this show. About a month ago we did. Go read the website, thewincolumn.ca. There was a column up about this exact thing a month ago, and we talked about it on this show. And Greg with 3 Gs. 3G Greg writes in. That's going to be his nickname, okay? 3G Greg. He says, hey, Rod and Darren, do you think the Oilers are one of the best right now? Don't you love when people ask questions that they already know the answer to? They just want to hear you say it.
Yeah.
Winnipeg's number 1. I got the notification from TSN this morning that amongst their power rankings, the Winnipeg Jets are the number 1 team in all of the National Hockey League. And yes, I get that is something to celebrate. And I'm okay with that. I'll tell the Winnipeg people watching right now on Bell MTS Channel 1190 or Shaw Rogers Channel 230 all across Manitoba on television right now. Get excited about your team. But just please don't come at me and rub it in my face and say, why aren't you talking about our team more? Because, be honest, I was in favor of the Rick Bowness hiring a year and a half ago now. I've been in favor of everything they've done. I've been a Chevy guy, but I sat here and listened to everybody dump on both those guys and everybody else, dumping on Paul Maurice even after he left. I'm like, I get it. Your team's good. Don't throw it up in my face or ask why we're not talking about them more. So let's go across the country. It's pretty good days to be a hockey fan in Canada, wouldn't you say? Hang on, I'm just calling it up on my trusty Score app. The GOAT of apps, the Score. The Winnipeg, well, let's go from coast to coast. The Vancouver Canucks. 4th overall in the National Hockey League, 53 points. That's 3 off the leading Winnipeg Jets. They've won 6 of the last 10 games, and they've won 1 game in a row. I thought about the Canucks this morning when I heard Bill Belichick say, because I listened to his news conference out of New England, his season-ending news conference, and they said, do you think you're going to be back, Bill? And Belichick goes, I'm just showing up and doing the hardest work I can for the New England Patriots, as long as I'm being paid, until that changes. I thought of Bruce Boudreau saying that last year when he was dead man walking, and it got leaked that the Canucks ownership had already talked to Rick Tocchet. Remember that? And what did Gabby say? I'm just showing up for work every day because that's my job until they tell me not to show up. So I'm a believer in the Canucks for sure. They have not clinched yet, Kevin the Medium. Just letting you know, they've not clinched yet. Although I think they'd really have to fold for them to clinch, and I don't think they're going to fold. But are they legitimate going to the Stanley Cup? Tocchet probably win Coach of the Year. But that's a different discussion than are they legit. They got to prove a little more to me before I think that they're going to the Stanley Cup, which incidentally, the Rangers tonight, a rematch of the 1994 Stanley Cup Final. I remember watching that with a McDonald's McRib. I ate 2 of them. I ordered 2. In 1994, watching the Stanley Cup Final, Rangers and Canucks. Do you remember that series?
Vaguely. That was the 94 playoffs, the first year that that's the earliest memory I have of watching hockey, was that 94 playoffs and the Rangers run. So yeah, I remember that quite well.
Are you a believer in the Vancouver Canucks as legit Stanley Cup contenders?
Yes, I am. At this point of the year,
how about
they are legit Stanley Cup contenders, and they score a lot of goals. And the one thing I'll say about the Canucks, and I think this is great, I don't know if Kevin BX on Hockey Night in Canada came up with it, but they've nicknamed that top line with Brock Besser, Miller, and Pedersen the Lotto line. Have you heard that? They're the Lotto line.
No.
Because their numbers are 6, 40, and 9. 649. So they're the Lotto line. I actually like it. You roll your eyes.
That's our reach.
I like it.
That's our reach. John Schmeiser in Kansas City watching right now says Brad Treliving didn't get anything for Johnny Gaudreau. He won't make that mistake twice. Hey, shout out for those that learn from past mistakes and don't carry them forward. Shout out to those people. Looks like Brad Treliving is better. Tough experiences they've had in their life, because some people just keep reliving the same mistakes all the time. We call them idiots. We got to speed it up here, but yes, the Oilers, as I go back, it's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. How about that? As I open up my phone, 1:11 Eastern. The Edmonton Oilers.
Beautiful.
are 20th overall in the National Hockey League. They hold down the final playoff spot, second wild card, and they've won 7 in a row. Do I think the Oilers, what was the question? Do I think they're one of the best? I think they're in the playoffs right now. That's what I think, right? Yeah, I do think I think they're a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. Yes, I said a month ago that I thought they were going to miss the playoffs because at that point they were tracking that way. Who thought they were going to catch fire? This is a team that's, they've won 5 playoff series, I think, the last 3 years, something like that. They're not as good as the Winnipeg Jets. They're not. I believe the Jets are that solid team. But Oilers, are you buying or selling on them?
I'm buying stock in the Oilers. Absolutely. This is a team that can go on that run. But we also know they're a team that can get cold really fast, too. We haven't seen a lot of consistency from the Oilers. But I think that they have the high-end talent and the ability to go on these 7, 8, 10, 12-game winning streaks. And for that reason, I think they can catch fire in the playoffs and win it all.
True story. This is the thing with the Oilers. I mean, I just keep winning because it makes my life better. They've won 7 in a row. Serena's wearing Oiler gear everywhere we go. We were walking through Meisner Park in downtown Boca Raton last week, going out for our Wednesday night date night that we always do. And this lady comes around. She's driving a Cadillac. She honks. Go Oilers! We're like, what? In Boca Raton? And she stops her car, hangs out the window and goes, my cousin's the radio guy. Not joking, man. With New York plates. Yeah, I swear to God. And I'm like, Jack Michaels? She's like, yeah. And then Serena just kept walking. She goes, I thought she said her husband's the radio guy. I'm like, no, I got it. Very rarely is my hearing better. Moving on. That happened last week. Flames buying stock, selling stock. We're not selling stock. Sorry, we're not buying stock on the Calgary. I don't want anything to do with them because it's ugly, the Calgary Flames. You?
Yeah, I'm sticking away right now. And that's to say I don't know that they've hit their bottom yet. Not that they're going to get worse. I'd like to see them get better. But no, I'm staying away from the Flames right now in terms of buying or selling stock in them.
Jets, we've been pumping their tires for months. Number 1 team in the NHL is not a surprise to anybody. Now, we've talked about them a lot today. Leafs, we're in. They're going to be a playoff team. Are they going to the Cup? God knows. Darren thinks that they will every year. Ottawa, grease fire. Should be brought to you by Loris Disposal. It's not good times in Ottawa, and it's not going to be for a long time. It's not going to be for a long time. They got Jacques Martin coaching the team. Are you kidding? Which, by the way, do you know how bad the Florida Panthers have been historically? Jacques Martin is the winningest coach in Panthers history, and they never made the playoffs any of the 3 seasons he was here. I was telling a guy that the other day. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's been bad for a long time. That's why they're pretty happy with how good the team is right now. And Montreal, I watched them play the Rangers the other day. Sam Montembeault made 49 saves in a shootout win. I watched it all. And you got to respect Montreal. Whether you like them or not, I don't care. You have to respect them. 21,000 and change in that barn. They fill it every damn game. And you'd have thought it was Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final that the Habs won. I love it. Bob Marier's down here in South Florida right now. We're going to be hooking up right away. I'm going to be sick of the Habs by the time he leaves. But listen, love him or hate him, you got to respect the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, you do. And it was a fun win to watch them on the weekend on Hockey Night in Canada when Montembeault made a great save on the shootout, the Forsberg move. He was really good in overtime. And there is something special, no matter what team you cheer for, watching Montreal. I believe they were at home that night in front of the crowd. It's just something special about watching the Canadiens play, especially when they're winning.
That's our coast-to-coast look. Okay, Moose, you're done. You have a great day.
You bet. You too.
Ball for all. Coach Reinebold from Sky Sports joins us next to talk NFL, little CFL, whatever comes up, the Natty tonight. We'll be right back live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss. But it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RPShow continues, brought to you in part by Common Crown Brewing Company. They've got the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment out there in southern Alberta, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale. Check them out at commoncrown.ca. Talking football now, let's bring in our friend Jeff Reinebold from Sky Sports NFL coverage. Coach, Black Mondays claim two coaches, Arthur Smith of the Falcons, Ron Rivera of the Commanders. You think are we done for a while, or there's still some coaches to go? What are you thinking?
No, this is the night of the long knives, Rod. This is where, watch what happens. It's almost incredible that once the blood starts to get in the water, now there's going to be more blood. And obviously we saw it with Arthur and we saw it with Ron Rivera, two guys, kind of in different situations, but I'm sure that there's more coming, because the owners, it's a competitive business, highly competitive guys want to win and certainly win at the highest level. And, we've got three of them open on top of the two that opened up last night. So I'm sure that we'll see something happen in New England and what that does in terms of the chain reaction that happens in coaching at this time, we'll see. But I don't think it's the end of it.
Yeah, no, me either. And it's interesting. I guess it depends on who you believe. I'm hearing the same thing, that New England looks like there will be an opening there. But let me ask you this. Nice little segue of the national championship tonight. Jim Harbaugh coaching his last college game tonight. That's the popular rumor, and where there's smoke, there's fire.
Well, that seems to be what everybody's saying. And certainly, if he wins the national championship, what more does he have to accomplish at the University of Michigan? Now, that's his school, and obviously he loves that place a great deal, but he's got a great football team. They're going to be favored when they go out on the field tonight against Washington. I was really interested watching Moose's little segment. It's not even subliminal message from Moose. He's a Michigan guy all the way with that hoodie on. But yep. I think you can't look past the Huskies, because Caleb DeBoer is maybe the best kept secret in college football in terms of coaching ability. And Michael Penix can make every throw on the field. The question is going to be, can they stop Michigan's power running game and all the 3 tight end stuff? And one of the areas that the Pac-12 gets ridiculed a little bit is, are they tough enough out there? And, this is going to be a battle against, it's power against skill, and we'll see who wins.
Well, I'm going back to last week's Rose Bowl. We haven't talked since. Like, that running back from Michigan, he doesn't play. Alabama wins the game. Like, tonight, who do you think wins, players or coaches and strategy, when it's a one-game showdown like this?
Well, when you're talking about Blake Corum, you're talking about a unique talent guy. And when I was at Hawaii in 2018, we played them. And there were 2 plays that really stuck out in my mind. He was just a young kid starting for the first time in 2018. And let me just tell you, there were 2 times, Rod, that we had unblocked players in the hole, and they never even touched him. And I mean, didn't touch him. His ability to make a jump cut and get north and south again, he doesn't have breakaway speed, and he's not that big a guy, but he runs well behind his pads. Like I said, his jump cut ability, which you saw on the 1 touchdown against Alabama, and you're on the field with the best athletes in the world when you're playing against Alabama. So, I think that he's going to be a key to this. But Michigan's offensive line and that 3 tight end stuff that they do, they're pretty imaginative on offense and how they can attack your edge, with their gap scheme, and they can pound it inside on you. Are the Huskies going to be able to stop them enough times? And that's what I think it's going to come down to. They got to score. Washington has to score when they have the football. They got to get 3s or 7s. They can't go 3 or 4 series without scoring, because Michigan will just, Michigan's like a boa constrictor. They get around you and they just squeeze the life out of you.
For those watching tonight, Blake Corum's the one coach is talking about, 5'8", 210 in the Michigan backfield, and the Wolverines favored by 5.5 at Bet Regal going into this one. Coach, are you sick? You sound a little croaky. Are you all right?
No, I may have got a little chest cold, I think, but it was a long trip back from England. I'm back in Hawaii now, and it's about 16 hours in the air, so breathing that bad air for all that time, I think that's what got me.
I appreciate you coming on with us, man, for sure, and your expert analysis. Week 18 in the NFL. I don't know if you want to look back or look ahead. There's some playoff teams that are limping in, man, that don't look that good. What's your read on Wild Card Weekend?
Well, there are 2 wild card games, Rod, that really I'm anxious to watch. And the first one is the Rams going to Detroit. And that storyline is like, the NFL couldn't have scripted it better. You got Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit, a place where he was, seen as the savior of the franchise when they drafted him with the first pick in the first round. And he elevated that program about as far as one guy could, and then couldn't get it over the hump. Got an opportunity with the Rams, won a Super Bowl. Jared Goff, the guy that the Rams threw away in the trade and unloaded on Detroit, has now, got them in the playoffs and won an NFC championship for the first time in, I think, 30 years. NFC North championship. And so, I think that's going to be a tremendous story. And I'm going to tell you something, don't sleep on these Rams. You look at the Rams down the stretch, and they took Baltimore to overtime. They beat San Francisco. Now, you can say San Francisco didn't play a lot of guys and all that, but you still got to go out and play. And Matthew Stafford's arm talent can be the difference in a game like this. I think it's going to be a really, really good football game. And then the other one is the Dolphins in Kansas City. The Dolphins are kind of in free fall right now. And Kansas City, I've seen a number of places that have come out now and said Kansas City's going to win the Super Bowl. I think you got to tap your brakes a little on that. But, the Dolphins have made it tough on themselves after losing to the Cowboys and then losing to the Ravens.
Hey, I got you. Obviously, all the games are going to be great. I got to ask you, though, what is Mike Tomlin's secret? Because every year, especially when Big Ben went down or retired, that this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year that they don't make it. And they always get a winning record and make it. What's his secret?
I think it's the same thing that's the Steelers' secret, consistency. You look at that franchise, and they have had very few coaching changes. Mike Tomlin is a great communicator. He has he has a very good understanding of his football team. He runs his locker room extremely well. Being a head coach at the highest level, it's somewhat CEO and it's somewhat hands-on. And, it's not like college football in that you're a head coach and you're going to be calling plays. He is really, truly a top of the food chain guy. I mean, everything runs through him. The whole program is built around his ethos and the Steeler work habits, and they're going to play great defense. And Mason, or Rudolph, the kid they brought in at quarterback, I think he's 3-0 since he took the job. He was the third quarterback. They had to go through all kinds of injuries to kind of come out the other end like they are right now. And their offense has given them just enough. Now, how is TJ Watt's health? That's going to be one you got to watch really closely going into this thing. And then also, you watch that defense now, and Cam Hayward said it really well. He said, we've got a formula. We've got a way to win. We know what we need to do. And now we just got to take it on the road and get it done. It's going to be a tough ask in Buffalo. But, again, when you play defense in the playoffs, whether it's hockey, basketball, football, when you can play defense in the playoffs, you got a chance.
Well, I got to ask you if you've figured out yet. I'm sure you have. What's the story on the Philadelphia Eagles? I saw the stat this morning. No team in the NFL since 1986 has started 10-1 and finished the season with only 11 wins. What happened to them?
It's hard, Rod. It's hard to believe. It really is. I didn't know that stat. Thank you for it. But when you look at them defensively, and you just go by position and go by the three levels of the defense: the front, the linebackers, and the secondary. And you've got outstanding players and depth at all three levels, and they can't stop anybody. Now, the Giants were, anemic on offense, and they go out and, it was unbelievable to watch. And something is not right there. There is really, really a disconnect, I think, in that organization, because you've got too many talented players. And they've tried to change coordinators. That hasn't worked. At some point, I think the football team's going to have to take it over. And, Sirianni's starting to get an awful lot of heat on him. They're not scoring points on offense. Their quarterback has, not played as well as he's capable of playing. We've seen him play at really, really at a high level, and he struggled. They're just a team without they're kind of like drifting around without a rudder right now.
Well, and that's the thing, is I saw somebody say, well, they're 10-1, but they were lucky to win. They're just not a good team. And you just said it. It's not easy to win. I hate when people say they were lucky to win, especially 10-1.
And anybody in pro football anybody that says you're lucky to win in pro football is, like you may get a bounce or two along the way, but you're not going to be 10-1 by being lucky. You're not winning 10 by being lucky. You're winning 10 because you got good football players and they're playing well. Those are the same football players that are playing now, and they're not playing well, and they're not playing to their capabilities, to their level that they're capable of playing. And, invariably, who does that fall on? And it starts at the top. And I think Nick Sirianni is starting to feel the pressure. Philadelphia's fans and the media are certainly going to let you know when you're not getting it done. And, it's become deafening in the stadium.
From what I understand, you're right. Have you got plans made for Super Bowl? Am I going to see you in Las Vegas?
Well, there is a strong possibility. I'm in a negotiation right now to do the game on radio. And we're trying to dot some I's and, cross some T's and do that. So I'm looking forward to it. When do you get down, Rod? Because, obviously we got to get together.
Wednesday night. And we're piecemealing this together, Coach. But I found a room on the Strip for $22 a night. I was almost looking for a reason not to go, but I think Vegas is like the cheapest city to travel into.
If you found a room for $22 a night, you probably are underneath cardboard with somebody.
Hey, you got an open invitation to stay. I'll find some room for you, Coach. Yeah. So, hey, it's called living right. It's just called living right. In the end, are you going to make your prediction yet on who's going to be in that game, or are you prepared to do that yet?
I think obviously I'm going to be. It sounds repetitive, but I think that the Ravens right now, you've got to say they're going to be on one side of it. And, again, you look at the NFC, and I think the NFC has gotten really interesting since Philadelphia's taken a slide. And I think the 49ers certainly have the ability to, but they also have the ability to not be there. And I think the one that looms out there a little bit is the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are good enough to get there. I really think they're good enough to get there. And it's going to take some, breaks, and they're going to have to play well. They haven't won a playoff game in a long time. So I think the first thing they got to do is get through the first one and get a little confidence going. And, it's like all sports, Rod. You watch hockey, you watch basketball, you watch baseball. When you get hot at playoff time, then you got a great chance if you're healthy and you're hot. And right now, the Cowboys are starting to get healthy, and they're a hot football team.
And Green Bay thinks they're hot. So, they've been good here in the last little bit, and they're trampling all over Aaron Rodgers and saying we made the right decision there, which clearly they did. But I'll tell you something, Coach, I got to say, I admire the fact that you can go back and forth between the media and the sidelines and the sidelines and the media, because I don't know how you could listen to the media and not puke. Like here on the radio, I don't listen to the radio anymore here in Miami because it was all, how come they're not talking about Tua for MVP? How come it's all Dak? How come they're not talking about Tyree? I'm like, why don't you shut up? That doesn't mean these awards don't mean anything. And these are the broadcasters of the team, Coach. Like, I just want to reach into the radio and strangle them. But you know what I mean? Man, it drives me nuts.
Oh, you know what? Here's one that amazed me today. Alex Singleton has more 10 tackle games than, it's an NFL record. He's no player in Broncos history has had more tackles in a season than Alex Singleton. Not Randy Gradishar, not, any of those guys. They've had great linebackers at that place for a long, long time. And, and this kid can't get to the Pro Bowl. Why? It's called entry bias. His road to the NFL wasn't the typical road. He wasn't drafted. He went to Seattle, got cut, was on a practice roster, got cut, came to the CFL, and used his time in Calgary as an opportunity to get to Philadelphia, leads the Eagles in tackles 2 years in a row, and they get rid of him. Why? Entry bias, right? Well, we got to get better. We got to get better. At what point does it just come down to the guy makes plays? And, I think Alex Singleton, obviously owes an awful lot to the Canadian Football League because it gave him an opportunity, and he will tell you that very same thing. but certainly he's as productive as any linebacker playing today.
Well, I would hate to think that there's a bias, particularly anti-CFL. I see he's not a blue blood road to the NFL is what you're saying. But these guys that do the voting, I can say this about the NHL because I go to the games. They're watching TV. They're not even, I'm like, guys, the game's down here. And you're voting on the year-end awards? Oh, my God. I get it now. Okay, Coach, take care of yourself. Hope to see you in Sin City, but we'll talk before then.
All right, Rod. Take care. Thank you. Great to be with you.
As always, thank you for the time. Jeff Reinebold checking in from across the pond. We'll be right back with a sports update. We got audience takeover coming up, too. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lequette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, everybody. Hey, it's just you and me till the top of the hour. Funny how that works, right? And a huge thank you to Coach Reinebold for joining us when he's feeling under the weather. Man, that sucks, doesn't it? I'll do a sports update now. Leafs fans rejoice. And I love when Moose is on. I love when we have our interview guests, but I also love when it's just you and me. We can converse, and I got some stuff here on the Nylander stuff and the reaction coming out of that from you, the audience. But off the news wire, William Nylander will be in a Toronto Maple Leafs sweater for years to come. Nylander's agreed to an 8-year deal with the Maple Leafs worth $92 million. The team confirmed Monday. It's the largest contract in Maple Leafs history by total value and includes a no-movement clause. The 27-year-old Nylander has 21 goals, 33 assists through 37 games this season. Toronto drafted Nylander 8th overall in the 2014 draft. He's got 558 career games with the Leafs, 198 goals, 286 points. Add that up. I don't know what it is, but it's good. He was set to become an unrestricted free agent in the offseason. We'll circle back around on that. Pretty big news from the curling world, and we're brought to you in part by Curling Canada here on the RP Show. The Nunavut Curling Association has informed Curling Canada that it will not be sending a team to Calgary for the 2024 Scotties. This is front page news in a lot of periodicals that I've seen today. The 18-team event, set for February in the Winsport Event Center in Calgary, will be filled out instead by a 4th Canadian team ranking system qualified team. 2 teams, Jennifer Jones and Rachel Homan, have already been declared based on the standings alongside defending champions Team Carrie Anerson of Gimli, Manitoba. Now, the highest 2 teams in the standings that didn't qualify will earn trips to Calgary for the Canadian Women's Curling Championship. That's like a college football playoff thing. That's what that's like. Wild. So none of it not participating. And to be honest, the last time that the Brier was in Regina, which wasn't that long ago, less than 10 years ago, I would say, none of it was there. Now, this is the Brier, not the Scotties, but similar. They're sitting there getting their ass handed to them. And I'm like, why do they even send a team? And now they're not. We'll have to talk to our curling people as to why this has happened. But today, none of it involving Curling Canada. They're not sending a women's rep to the national championships. Wild. Well, and they always get smoked anyways. But again, I'm not a proponent of quitting either. So, developing story that's just came down today. Sports updates brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In theaters now, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. It's an action adventure. When an ancient power is unleashed, Aquaman must forge an uneasy alliance with an unlikely ally to protect Atlantis and the world from irreversible devastation. Starring Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, Dolph Lundgren, and Nicole Kidman in Landmark Cinemas now, Aquaman. And also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. That's your sports items today in our world. And so to the text line, as I promised, we got a lot of sponsors, don't we? And we love them all, and we ask that you support them. The Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033. Rick Sawatsky writes in regarding Sid Sixero's take on the Nylander thing. If you go look up Sid Sixero on Twitter, formerly of Tim and Sid, one half of Tim and Sid, and now left that and is on breakfast television in Toronto. He said the Leafs have no idea what they're doing. And, of course, it's been retweeted 2,000 times and liked 5,000 times, whatever. Tons of reaction because it's the Leafs. And Darren said he doesn't agree with that. Rick is watching in Martinsville and writes in, he said, Sid is a business wannabe. Lots of noise, very little knowledge. I mean, I get the sensationalistic side of things. I get that clicks sell and obviously ratings sell, but it's, you know, when Michael Bunting got suspended in the playoffs, was it last year, Clark, when he did something dumb? Try to take somebody's head off? Yeah, Sid goes, it was in round 1 against Tampa. He's like, Michael Bunting will never play for the Leafs again. And then he served his suspension and did. So, by the way, not sitting here trampling on Sid. You do what you want to do. I just can't be that guy, I don't think, with those sensational hot takes. No, I do have the hot takes, but I believe them. And I guess Sid does probably believe that the Leafs don't know what they're doing. And history would indicate that Sid's right. So there's that. I'm just putting it out there for debate. Do we believe that the Leafs don't know what they're doing? Because I don't. I think Nylander is one of the... If they're going to win at all, he's going to be a key part of it. Just read his entire hockey resume. First-round pick, 8th overall, going back to 2014. That's a long time. They've put a lot... It's a long relationship there. They put a lot of time into each other. And he's a great player. And they wouldn't want to keep him around and give him that kind of money if he wasn't a quality person. So why do you think they don't know what they're doing? I don't understand. I also don't need to understand. Jason writes in. He is in Winnipeg. And writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line and says, shout out to Rod and crew for the Landmark Cinema tickets. Nice, cheap date night. Happy Monday. Go Chets, go. Signed, Jason. Well, thank Joe for that. I'm pretty sure Joe, our Big Cheese, is handling all of that now. And I'm glad you won, Jason. I'm glad you enjoyed the movies at Landmark Cinemas. Never a bad idea to go to the movies. Even if the movie sucks, guarantee you the concession food is magnificent. We'll continue this when we come back. Whatever you would like to talk about. A lot of NFL stuff, a lot of NHL stuff. CFL in the news, too. You and me the rest of the way. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, everybody, where did the time go? I want to remind you that Telemiracle 50/50, the online raffle, is live now. I was going to call it lottery, which in a way, I guess it is. You can get your tickets at telemiracle5050.com. All we ask is that you be 18 years of age and over and physically in the province of Saskatchewan to purchase your tickets. Going to be selling them until February 23rd. Winner's going to get half. That's how 50/50s work. All proceeds go to Telemiracle 48, supporting Saskatchewan's charity. We're real happy that they've come to us to help them promote it. Why don't you help us out, please, by purchasing your tickets today at telemiracle5050.com. And while there, you can go to telemiracle.com, learn how Kinsman Foundation is helping people every day in Saskatchewan to improve their independence and quality of life. 902-518-3033 is the number to text us here. It's Overtime, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where skill and fun collide. Check them out, 28th Street Northeast. Baseball has batting cages. Golf has driving ranges. Why wouldn't hockey have shooting lanes? Randy and Michelle have come up with it. Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Anthony writing in a little late. But hey, he's watching on Game Plus television. Hey, Anthony. He says, do you think Nick Sirianni is in danger of losing his job if the Eagles lose in the wild card? From Franklin Square, New York, Anthony writing in. Sirianni is absolutely in danger of losing his job. I'm sure you're a sports fan. You're an NFL fan. You're an Eagles fan, Anthony. Philly will fire. They fired Doug Pedersen after winning a Super Bowl. I don't know if you were watching earlier, Anthony. We had our football analyst on, our NFL analyst from Sky Sports, Jeff Reinebold, and we talked about the fact that this is the first team in almost 40 years to start a season 10-1 and finish with only 11 wins. It's mind-blowing what's happened with Philadelphia. Oh, man. And thank you for joining us, by the way, Anthony, and writing in on the Sober Carpenter text line. From Franklin Square, New York, watching on Game Plus. Here on this Black Monday, what have we learned? Some of these coaches are deserving to be fired. Some aren't necessarily. But if you do not achieve your goals, you're gone. It doesn't matter the sport. Today, we've already seen Arthur Smith with the Falcons, gone. Ron Rivera in Washington, gone. And he's in a tough division with the Commanders. Dallas and Philadelphia, but gone. Any team that gets worse as the season goes along, not better, it's a pretty good indication that he's not doing a good job of coaching. And again, Philadelphia, very tough sports market. That's just from the fans, let alone the owners. Yeah, they don't win this week. I would suggest that Nick Sirianni's gone. And isn't that something? From the Super Bowl last year, in it, to this. You got to do a lot of winning. They got to do it now. Paul in Humboldt writes in and says, Coach Reinebold predicts the Cowboys will ride Big Mo Vegas. He's not a Cowboys fan. I am. I'm not getting into any prediction business here at all. Let's just take it one play at a time. Ryan in Saratoga, New York writes in. He says, have a great Monday, Rod Squad. Enjoy whatever sports you watch tonight. Same to you, Ryan. Appreciate you. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, Rod, you didn't find a room that cheap. Yes, I did. Las Vegas, $22 a night. Go to Expedia. That's where I found it. $22 a night. Super Bowl week. Look it up. That NFL wildcard round, which incidentally, I know there's a lot of CFL fans that come here. But if you're looking for a reason to watch NFL football, this is the best weekend of the year because it's got the most playoff games of any weekend of the year. So on Saturday, there are 2. Cleveland Browns at Houston Texans, and we haven't talked about the magnificent job done by DeMeco Ryan, the Texans rookie coach. Cleveland at Houston. We had all week to get into the point spreads, our predictions. Dolphins at Chiefs, that's the one they're all excited around here about. 8 p.m. Eastern, Miami Dolphins at Kansas City Chiefs. Hard to believe that what I read today, Jason Kelsey took him out of Sunday's game. 16 yards, himself out. Didn't play. Inactive. Didn't want to. I got to think he was hurt. 16 yards shy of 1,000. Sunday, Steelers at Bills. How about the Bills? You talk about firing Nick Sirianni. The Bills fire their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, win 6 of their next 7 to rally and win the division. That is not good. What should I say? That's not a good sign for coaches hoping to keep their jobs on struggling teams. So the first game of the day, Sunday, Steelers at Bills. We're not going to get into the predictions yet. Packers at Cowboys, 4:30 Sunday. That's the game of all of them that I need to watch because I'm a Cowboys fan and I'll be riddled with anxiety for 3.5 hours. Rams at Lions, as Coach Reinebold just said, that's the best storyline. And if you don't know why that is, which I'm sure you do, Anthony, in Franklin Square, New York, then you are not an NFL fan. And then Monday night, it is those Eagles at the Buccaneers. They were racing out to the number 1 seed in the NFC and just folded like a cheap suit, and now they got to go on the road to take on my guy, Baker Mayfield, who pocketed a cool $1 million leading his Buccaneers to the playoffs, and they won the NFC South for a 3rd straight year. Unbelievable story. Last minute of play in today's RP show. Stacy is watching at Access World headquarters. He says, super duper, super D-duper. Wild card weekend is the best. It's actually over 3 days. 2 Saturday, 3 Sunday, 1 Monday. And the winner is us. NHL tonight, we never got into the games with Moose, our Bet Regal breakaway bets. We could, though. I'll do it right now. Pittsburgh at Philadelphia, Flyers win. Vancouver at the Rangers, Rangers win. Dallas Stars at Minnesota Wild. For you, Allie, Stars win. And Boston at Colorado, ooh, that's a doozy. Colorado smarting after the Panthers spanked them the other night. Avs will win. Thanks to the guests today. Thanks to you. We'll see you at noon Eastern here on Game Plus.
Who has more fun than us?